We have won 6 contracts, right?
In a week?
You got to have partners. You got to build relationships. What's the difference between services and products? Services, you got to babysit and almost like an employee. But when you're doing a DLA work and you're doing this, you're just a logistics center the way we're seeing ourselves. Build that confidence, build that past performance, and then the sky's the limit from there. Be able to travel and be able to do work when we're moving around the country and the world.
What's going on, hustlers? Welcome back to the channel. We have a very special guest with us today who's actually in a very unique situation, one that I can personally relate to because I've been on the other side of the same coin that he's on with his operation being a family business. And as you guys can tell, it's just us today. Sam is doing some work with Manchester United. Shout out to Sam. So, Mr. Jason Mitchell, why don't you go ahead and introduce the people to yourself? The floor is yours, brother.
Oh, yes, Dave. First, thanks for having us on the show. We're excited, just about all the information that you give us to help our company grow. We're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Interested enough, Dave, we started in services, right? Because that was our core thing that we knew, right? We started what we knew and then we kind of grew. And so based out of Baltimore, Maryland, DLA is really our focus point, right? Going forward, we see a lot of opportunity, right? When we start looking at your videos and you start saying, right, one or none, respond to 50% of the solicitations. Hey, you had us right then, right? And so we began to build the foundation of our DLA business. We're a family-owned business. My wife, Cynthia, owns the business. We're a woman-owned, we're a Hubs-owned, and we're a Native American-owned firm with our GSA mass schedule. So we have a lot of different unique things that we think we can bring to this DLA space, and we're excited. And similar to you, right? Our kids in college, and they joined, right? They did a summer intern last summer. And so this year we offered them an internship and we hooked them, right?
That's the way to do it. Get them started nice and early.
Absolutely. So they saw not only the opportunity, but also the opportunity to learn how to be an entrepreneur. We always taught our kids, and something we didn't even practice ourselves. We taught our kids, right, that when you get your degree, invest in yourself, right, to be able to, give jobs instead of working at a job, right? Be able to create.
You are your biggest asset.
Come on, that's it. So making them know that that the college degree is an asset. Use it to help yourself, not help someone else. And so that's kind of been our mantra, and that's kind of what we want to do. And then also we want to be able to free up that time, right, so that we can enjoy. We love traveling, so to be able to travel and be able to do work when we're moving around the country and the world. So we're really excited about doing this work in the DLA.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to have you guys. Yeah, really just excited to see how you guys have hit the ground running. The past week, you guys honestly had a crazy week. You guys are probably going to finish the month off with having like a crazy month, like double-digit contracts. Because I know we talked initially in October, but then I know you guys were getting things up and going. You guys were getting all your ducks in a row, and then the holidays and things like that. But since you guys have been hitting it pretty hard, and we've been hearing from you guys a lot more for the month of February, just tell everybody what transpired last week.
Yeah, so no, you're right. We spent, the last couple of months just setting up the foundation so we can focus in the DLA space, understanding that, really compartmentalize and getting our service work kind of organized. And so I think it was the end of January, maybe last week of January, we began really focusing our whole team, focusing on DLA space, and ready to go, right? Went through the videos, the 4-hour videos, right?
Hey, they're long, but they serve their purpose.
They do. We actually went through multiple times, right? And so went through those videos, we got focused, and we start bidding, right? We started, commercial off the shelf, right? Just to get our process going. We knew we can get quotes easier. We knew we can be competitive. So, since February, we have won 6 contracts, right?
In a week?
In like a week or 10-day period, we won 6. And then right now, we have a couple evals. We have, I think we'll probably win another 3 or 4 just this week alone. We're getting back. And so, no, we're excited, and this is just the beginning, right? with the idea that we know that we're just going to continue to get more competitive, build that confidence, build that past performance, and then the sky's the limit from there. And so we're really excited. We were like, hey, if we win one or two this month, we're excited. And then the next day, like literally the next day, we won two contracts. It was like bing, bing. It was like, oh, we
the
are
process
celebrating.
the process works. I want to say the
Yes.
process works, but bigger than that, you guys did the work. Because I one thing that we talked about during the first call was, I was like, listen, the metrics are that we have outlined for other people. That's the stuff that we know leads to the results, but I don't anticipate you guys having any trouble doing that, because you guys had like a whole army of people that were just bidding and like hitting it hard. So I'm not surprised that you guys are winning at the volume that you're winning as quickly as you guys are winning, because you guys just hit it hard. I know that you guys have your son and your daughter that were just going absolutely crazy with the volume. So
Yeah.
I was definitely happy to see that. And I was more so not shocked at the speed, but I definitely was shocked at the volume, because
Yeah.
proportionally, like the amount of bids that you guys have submitted in relation to how many you guys have won, that's a crazy bottom line number for like your first, like, what, today's the 23rd, like 3 weeks of doing it to be at like 10 contracts is pretty nuts. It took us 3 months before
Yeah.
we got our first one. So I always tell anybody that starts and then finds success, I'm like, you guys are miles ahead, light years ahead of where we were when we first started. So
Yeah,
that's
but
always exciting.
Dave, but the reason why, right, and this is really critical for us, the reason why is because we have someone that blazed the trail. So anybody get into this space, right, we're able to ramp up 20 times faster than when you were doing it, Dave, right? It's because we have you. You have that mentor, right? You have those training classes. You have your sessions, office hours, and everything else. And so for us, we're like, okay, we know we need to do X, Y, Z. And, we need to cover our bases here, right? And so we were able to ramp up a lot faster because we had a playbook. We know where to go look for bids. We knew how to look for bids. We knew how to decipher through dibs, right? We knew how to get on dibs because of it, right? And so we really, when you look at the course day, it's a cheat code. We always talk internally, like, what if we had to do this alone, right? What if we had to do this alone? I don't even know if we would have been registered in dibs by this time, because all that government jargon,
Yeah,
you
the
were able to kind of
bureaucracy.
get us that demystify that for us, right? And so I think it allowed us to get into the space a lot faster. Now being able to get, 6 contracts, and a lot more probably is coming very shortly. But now our expectations for the year are really ramped up because we
Yeah,
know what
you
we
guys
can
have
do.
some. You guys set a
Yeah.
crazy ceiling for yourself with with this in 3 weeks, and then plus this is just based off of what you guys have done in the past 3 weeks. But wait until you have the whole pipeline going. So
Correct.
it'll be pretty crazy. Now we're talking about where you guys currently are now, but for anybody watching this, I don't want you guys to watch and then be discouraged and then be like, oh well, I don't have family, or I don't have a small army of Mitchells to go after
Yeah. Yeah.
this
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
endeavor. So let's go a little bit further back and kind of humanize the element, because this is
Yeah.
it's Superman stuff. So let's go humanize it and go a little bit Clark Kent. Just explain to us, like, how did you hear about government contracting in general? It doesn't even have to be DLA. If you could just tell us how you heard about it, and then like how you decided that this is what you wanted to pursue. Because as I'm sure you know, as a serial entrepreneur, there's so many
Yeah.
ways to make money. You could just do equities. You could just do real estate. You could buy car washes. You
Yeah.
could do whatever it is that you wanted to do. So how did you come across government contracting, and then why did you pursue it?
That's an excellent question. So my background, I've been on the other side of the fence in the government, right? So I worked in more local, right,
Mm-hmm.
government. So my background, I worked in a major city in California, and I started in finance, right, overseeing procurements for large agencies, public works agencies, and different things of that nature. So I was able to understand how procurement worked for a local government,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of worked my way up into the city manager's office as an assistant city manager, right? And I was like, so I got to see kind of everything, how every contract, and so my to get to the city manager's position, I was the public works director, I was an assistant director, I was over the finance chief financial officer. So public works is where you're doing all utilities and everything in someone's city. So we give out, hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts a year. So I understood procurement on the government side. Then I came to the East Coast and I was the head of one of the largest utilities in the country. And we gave out about $500 million in contracts a year.
Sheesh.
And I understood about in Maryland, right, MBE, WBE, Minority Business Enterprise, Woman Owned Business Enterprise. And honestly, I saw an opportunity. It's like they do set asides, right? And so we ended up, me and my wife, she was a CFO of a foundation. So we had pretty good jobs, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw an opportunity to really own our time, invest in our kids, but we saw an opportunity to create wealth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not a salary, but
Mm-hmm.
wealth, right? And so we jumped out, opened our business. We started local, right? And in the Baltimore metro area, we started doing work in Prince George County, Loudoun County, Virginia, Frederick, Calvert, state of Maryland. Then we found out about the federal government.
When was that? Okay, so when did you guys start contracting in general, and then when did you guys find out about like the scale of things on the federal level?
So, interesting enough, our first contract was here in the Baltimore area, in
Mm-hmm.
Maryland area. Our second contract was a federal contract.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
So
it
it
was a
wasn't that
DOD. It was a
it wasn't
DOD.
that long of a transition.
No. So yeah. So our first contract came in April of 2024, I believe.
Okay, so
So
two
that was our
years ago.
first contract. It was our services contract, April 1st, 2024. So if you can think of it, right, it's been about 21 months,
Yeah, not even a full 2 years.
2 years.
Not even a full 2 years. It's pretty crazy.
So, even the service contracts, we got at the federal level, we got about 5 year service contracts. We got about 3 at the state, local level. And then we got one that we're a sub in the Baltimore area. And then we got all these in and outs, right, that you see here. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were able to really grow, but we did have an unfair advantage, right? We knew how to write proposals. We
Okay.
understood how to research, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
utilized, the Freedom of Information Act to really go out and know how to get information, right? So we can be competitive. So we leveraged some of our knowledge that we knew on the other side on how
Mm-hmm.
to get information so that we knew how to competitively
Ain't no
price.
shame in the game, bro. You gotta get it how you live. You gotta get it how you live. Like you can't. You can, if God bestows a blessing upon you, what are you supposed to do? Rebuke the blessing? No, you gotta get it how you live.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this happened in 2024, and you guys basically kind of just jumped in the water. Your second contract was a federal contract.
Correct.
Now you guys were doing services for a while, and I know that was pretty lucrative for you guys.
Correct.
Now, how did you come across products and doing business with DLA? And then they are very different. So I always like to ask this question because people make money in services. Like I'm not here to discredit anybody that makes money that way. There's a million and one ways to skin a cat. They spend
Correct.
trillions of dollars. Like get it however you got to get it, right? But when did you come across it, and then why did you decide to go this route anyways if you guys are already having success over there?
So that's a good question. So I'm going to give you the medium side, the medium answer, right? Not the short,
Okay,
not
let's
the
get
long,
the
but the
medium
medium,
answer.
right? So interesting enough. So our Apex coordinator, our Apex accelerators, they're in every state. They help support businesses, right? And so they saw our growth, right, happening very quickly too, and they highlighted us. So they brought us in to a meeting. It was only 4 companies invited, and ours was one of them in the Maryland. They brought us into it, and we got to meet the Assistant Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
And so we were talking about our company and services. And he was like, but, there's a huge opportunity in our supply chain. We don't have enough vendors that support our warfighters in our supply chain. He
Oh, so
said,
you heard about the 51% only one company before you even got exposed to DLA. You were already aware of the fact that like there's a bunch of money to be made here and not enough companies to make it.
yeah, but I didn't know about the one, right? The one or
Okay.
none contract. I just knew through the assistant secretary at that meeting in the Apex office that there was a huge opportunity in supply chain. So I went home and I went to YouTube University and went down that rabbit hole, right? That everybody goes down. And so we went down that rabbit hole and we saw another company before we
Mhm.
saw you, Dave. We was like, we excited, we
I
excited.
heard. I heard. I'm not here to bash anybody. I heard. I heard. I heard.
So we did that, right? And we the content was good, so I'm not bashing anything, but your content was this is how you do it. Like this is how you do it, right? And so we ended up coming over to you, and we're YouTube University because we understood generally, but we just need to know how do you do it, right? And so we came and saw your video. That's when we really understood that 50%, 51% is one or zero contracts. So we was like, not only did the assistant secretary tell us something, you're saying, all these folks ain't been out. So we just thought it was a huge opportunity. The other thing on one of our services contract, they was like, can you buy something for us on a P card through a
Mhm.
micro purchase? It was
Mhm.
like 10 grand. So we marked it up 25%. So we made like 3 grand in like a week because we did a
So you
drop
had a
ship.
nice little taste of doing business with the micro purchases.
Correct. I said we made 3 grand and it just took an email and the payment and the
All you
ship
did
to
was
the thing.
arbitrage. You were just like, what? I
Correct.
just got to go find this and then mark it up and give it to this guy. I don't even got to touch it.
Correct. So I was like, listen, all I gotta do is multiply this out and we can make some money. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how we got to DLA. And I love services contracts. Don't get me wrong. The services contracts help where we can build the infrastructure for the products, right? And
Mm-hmm.
eventually we'll make a bigger transition over. But I mean, at the end of the day, to your point, you asked what's the difference between services and products, right? Services, you got to babysit, you got cuts. Like this morning, I got a call at 8 o'clock, and can we have the team work on this, right? And you're dealing with the day to day grind, almost like an employee.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing DLA work and you're doing this, you're just a logistics center the way we're seeing ourselves, right? A warehousing logistics center, and we're processing things in, we're processing things out, and we're charging for that processing, and that's how much it is. As long as you get the right parts, you box it up nice and neat, you do exactly what they tell you. We're not even talking.
100%, bro. It's just the arbitrage. You just got to make sure
Yeah,
the process goes smoothly, but you don't have to
yeah,
deal with different personalities. You don't have to deal with making sure that the people that are doing the services for you are meeting whatever standards you outline.
yeah,
You're not being held liable if somebody doesn't do anything correctly because you're
yeah.
ensuring that it gets done properly because you're the
Correct.
one doing it, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So we love this DLA. And so right now, I mean, we're really scaling for this next coming month. I mean, April 1st, you're thinking we're hitting it now. Come April 1st, we're going to be in a whole different category.
Let's get it. Let's get
Yeah,
it. Q2. Q2.
absolutely.
Anybody that watches like college sports, whether it be football or basketball, one of the things that very successful teams do, and I only got exposed to this concept recently, is the two middle quarters, right?
Yeah,
Q2, the last 15 minutes of the second quarter, and then the first 15 minutes of the third quarter after that halftime intermission, right? The teams that master those two middle quarters, if
yeah,
they ended up getting punched in the mouth at quarter one, they make up the deficit going into halftime. And
yeah,
then they carry that momentum in going to Q3, and then they really separate themselves, right? I think a lot of people can start really strong, and then maybe they fizzle out. And I think a lot of people can finish really strong, but it might be a little bit too little, too late. But if
yes,
you could get Q2 and Q3 right, you're basically guaranteeing that you're going to have either the momentum to climb back up out of that hole or to deliver the knockout punch for Q4 because you're like Q2 and 3 were great, so why not already keep it rolling kind of thing.
absolutely.
And one thing that I want to circle back to just so that way any new viewers that are watching this know what Jason and I are talking about. The 51% thing that Jason is referring to is 51% of contracts that are posted on Dibs, and this is not from me. This is from DLA Land and Maritime and DLA Aviation both say this
Right,
at their TKO seminars, the Training and Knowledge Opportunity seminars, which are free on the Dibs website. That's some free game
correct.
for you guys. 51% of the contracts, either only one company bids on them or nobody bids on them. So quite literally half of the contracts that are in the space is open competition. Doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win, but it means that if you submit a bid, hypothetically, statistically speaking, you're going to be one of the only companies that bids on it. So the government's not really going to have a choice other than to consider doing business with you. So that's one of the things that I always like to make people aware of. So
And to add to that too, Day,
Mm-hmm.
in that TKO seminar, and I didn't go to the seminar, but I looked at the video online. They say they issue 10,000 contracts a day. So when you thinking about 10,000 contracts a day, and you literally can put 40 or 50 out in a day, it's one for you to make every day at least, if you think of it like that.
If you could win one contract a day and you're only making $1,000 a contract, you're making 30 grand, bro. You're
Come on.
making 350,000 a year. It's in profit. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Still looking for products to provide and contracts to bid on manually? There's a more efficient way. With AI-powered market research based on criteria your firm gives the model, Contracts AI instantly shows solicitations you can win and products you can sell. Save time and win DLA awards 7 times faster. Compare solicitations in seconds. Get packaging and technical requirements broken down for every RFQ. Know how to price your bid with curated algorithms to calculate your markup for you. Gone are the days of FPDS and Gibbs' archaic user interface. This is world-class market research. It's modern, it's disruptive, it's built for contractors ready to win fast. Contracts AI. Sign up for free.
So I want to be a realist though, because we do talk about how, things are positive and people's success stories, but let's talk about some of the concerns that you had before, one, working with another company after you already tried one and you didn't get what you wanted, and then two, the industry as a whole, right? Because I think anytime when you're a business owner, you make the decisions based off of risk versus reward, right? And there's an opportunity cost. Whenever you choose one thing, you forego the ability to double down on something else. Could you elaborate on what were some of the concerns that you had before doing business with DLA? And then you kind of already were like, let me go work with a company and go get some insight, and it didn't pan out the way that you wanted it to, but you chose to do it again. And I hope that you feel that you got ROI out of it. But if you could elaborate on the two sets of concerns that you had for both of those facets of doing business with DLA.
No, I mean, to your point, right? That ROI, right? Where I'm going to get the return, and then even that cost of pivoting, right? Because to pivot to DLA, there's a cost of time.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, because it's the effort to build the foundation to do the DLA. Like you say, it doesn't come overnight. So you're going to put investment time against something that's kind of working, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so that was but for us, we're looking strategically, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we build a company? Potentially, how do we sell a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then two, what do we think works well for the long term, the medium and long term, not so much the short term? How do we make a strategic long term play for us as a company? And so it took a lot of conversations for us and a lot of working out. And that's the reason why we went to the first vendor that it didn't work out, right? Just because for us, we wanted detail how to do it, right? We didn't want hypotheticals. We didn't want slideshow presentation. We want to just let's open it up how we do it because we understood the government jargon, right? Just being in it. What we didn't understand is the process to be able to
Mm-hmm.
go in and make this money. And so when we came across your video, we was like, oh man, yeah, this is what we were saying. In 3 months, we're gonna be rich, right?
Listen, bro, we're at month one, and y'all going crazy. We might have a different conversation in 2 months.
So that was our internal thinking, right? Of course, it took us a little bit more foundational pieces, but we had to assess our ROI, right? And so what we had to look at is how do we become good in the DLA space as fast as possible? And the only way we were going to be able to do it is find someone that's going to mentor us. So I don't see you as a course. I see you as a mentor plus a course, right? Last week I had to call and we had to talk about some things, and we set up some stuff, and then this week we can follow up and we can set up another call to get us through some packaging things, right? Having that resources available for us, it was a no brainer. In order to do well in this industry, first, you got to have partners, you got to build relationships, and you have to have mentors that's going to help navigate these that been there and done that. And we see two lions, and Dave, you've been there and done that. You've been through the fire and back, right? Just trial and error, and so you're helping us eliminate some of that, right? Not all of it, but some of it. And so, that was our return on in our investment. It's being able to not taking a year to transition, but I'm able to take 6 months to transition, get my wins, and then keep on growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And so we knew that if I invest in your course, I take years off the process, not months, years off the process. Instead of making 10 mistakes, I may make one, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so now I'm able to position myself to be more successful, quicker, and have a better return, right? And not be so much,
You're not
frustrated
hitting
because
your
I
head
lost
against the
something.
wall.
Correct. Yeah. And so for us, that was critical. And then we began to strategize. How do we be able to get to everything on dibs?
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And so, right, you talked about JCP, right? Certification. You begin to talk about ISO and having your process together, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then you start talking last year about CMMC level 2
Hmm.
and having that because that's going to roll down the pike. And so we start strategically positioning ourselves to be able to conquer some of those hurdles in the road as well. So all that is just because we had your videos, we listened to you, and then we take action. And that's the other thing. You just got
That's
to
the
act.
biggest thing. That's what I was gonna say. Beyond, I appreciate the kind words, right? But I can open the door for 10 people, but it doesn't mean anything if 0 out of 10 people don't walk through the
Yeah.
door and actually take the action.
Yeah.
Because there's a good amount of just administrative tasks and the work that you have to do. Like, it is a little bit mundane in the beginning before you start winning, when it's like, I just real life have to go and I gotta enter in all these data points into the electronic quote submission form. I got to print these PDFs. I got to send these emails, right? The work still has to get done. I can't take that weight off of you guys' shoulders. So regardless of all the information that I could give you guys still went and you did the work. So that is beyond anything I could take credit for. And huge shout out to you guys, especially because when we initially talked about it, I was like, listen, there's 4 of you guys, who's going to be doing what, and then these are the numbers that you guys need to hit, and then you guys
Correct.
adhere to that. I think it's very easy when you have a lot of people for people to start doing all kinds of different things, but the hard part is doing the things that actually translate to cash flow, right? I call them like needle moving activities. They're needle movers, things that actually move the needle on your business, right? You can spend all the time in the world designing a website, designing branding, capability statement, working on all kinds of like phone call scripts and email templates and stuff like that. But the real needle movers, once you get started, is, I got to get quotes and I got to submit bids. When you have 4 people, it becomes very easy to start thinking, well, Jason's doing this and Jalen's doing that, so I'm going to go do something else. But no, you just got to stay focused and you only do the needle moving, cash flowing activities. So huge credit to you guys. One of the things that I do want to ask is, since you guys have started, what has changed in the company, whether that be structurally, whether that be procedurally, and then what have you guys learned as a result of those?
So we had a lot of changes, right? And there are more foundational changes in our company. What it made us do with DLA is understand process, like sales order, POs, invoices. Right?
That
Bro,
paper
you
trail
don't
better be
understand
right.
how hard that was.
That paper trail better be right, bro, because it's gonna serve you when DLA comes knocking or the IRS comes knocking, or more importantly, when it comes time to exit, and
Yeah,
then somebody's like, "Yo, let me see all the financials, and I need to see everything over the lifespan of your these 10 random contracts
yeah.
I picked." Boy, you better have a paper trail. I'll tell you that right now.
Correct. So that filing it, having not only an electronic file but also an in-person, file that we have and stored in our file cabinets here in our offices. And so, and for us, just really thinking about that process, printers, printer paper, boxes, inventory. In some cases, I know in some of your videos, you might say we don't keep a lot of inventory. But we saw some where you get the price cut at a certain number,
Yeah,
and
you
it
get the
was
price break
cheaper. Yeah,
if you buy, let's say 100, even though the government only needs 50 or something like that.
yeah. So we found a price break where we bought more, and it was going to be cheaper than buying less. So we bought more, and now we set up in our system where we look at that NSN or that part number, and so when it comes back open, we can pretty much set our own price on those things.
100%. Yeah, your overhead has already been taken care of by the
Correct.
first contract.
Correct. So, things like that, we're starting to figure all those out. So, how has it helped us? In addition to that, our JCP is being finalized in our ISO, we're ISO compliant. Our CMMC level 2, we finally got it all built out. and our third party assessor comes in early March. So
Okay,
we'll be
let's
third
go.
party assessed company. What we try to do, Day, with our company is try to say, when I talk to a OEM manufacturer, I'm talking to DLA, I'm talking to anybody. There's nothing that's going to inhibit them doing business with us. In addition to that, right, we're HubZone, we're Ed Wasby, we're Wasby, we're Native American, we have 8/8s and stuff of companies and veteran partners set up. So we are, good in that way. You know what I mean? And so we try to line ourselves up where it's no issue to do business with our company, right? Period. Point blank. And we want to be able to, because we think that going after take docs eventually, right, will put
Listen, the
us in a
margins are
different
good.
game,
The
right?
margins are good. If
Correct.
you guys have a company that's compliant and can make this stuff, the margins are good. You just
Yeah.
got to deal with first article tests and long lead times. But I'm
Yeah.
not here to tell anybody not to go after tech doc stuff if you have the infrastructure in place. If you're all good, shoot or shoot, baby. Shoot or shoot.
So we ain't shooting yet, but we're putting ourselves in a position so that when ready to shoot, we're ready, right? I don't want to start trying to get ready when the opportunity's here.
Yeah,
So
you want
we're
to stay
trying to make
ready.
sure. Yeah, we want to stay ready. So we're just going through those little processes. But for us, it's just helping putting the foundation that
Hmm.
helps us in this space. Period. I believe that when those CMMC2 requirements come down, there's just going to be abundance of opportunities for the people that got their CMMC level 1 or CMMC level 2. And so we want to put ourselves in a position where we can clean up.
100%. Yeah, it's essentially in all businesses, I believe it's like this, but really in government contracts, specifically DLA, I do kind of feel like it's just who's gonna outlast everybody? Like who's
Correct.
just gonna deal with all the administrative and bureaucratic stuff that you need to do to stay compliant? So when everybody else falls by the wayside, if there's 100 companies, it's like, there's only 8 of us here, bro. So you're gonna have to divide this 50 billion or whatever it is
Yeah.
amongst these 8 companies. That's how we're choosing to look at it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to ask you, we talked about what you guys have already done, and we've talked about how you guys got here. You briefly mentioned it, but like specifically over the next 90 days, what's in place? What are the goals over the next 90 days to bring you closer to making your vision a reality?
So it's a few things. Number one, continue to fill our pipeline up
Mm-hmm.
with profitable opportunities. So how we filling our profit pipeline up? We're submitting a certain amount every day, every week, every month, right? And with the idea that over time they will pay off, right? Your written
Mm-hmm.
weight. Our other strategic opportunity for us and what we're doing is getting our Spurs score up,
Okay.
right? So really trying to fulfill them, do them the right way, so that we won't keep on getting annoying later saying, "Who are your company and what can they do?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
They know we can do because we have that past performance and we got a higher Spurs score. So that's critical. Our other big component is developing relationships with OEMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Mm-hmm.
close to a relationship with an OEM that's giving us access to their API so that we can see their inventory levels.
Oh, that's
So
that's the move. Yeah, that is the
yeah,
move. You could just cross-reference that with whatever it is that DLA actually needs, and then you just shoot them a
bam.
message, or you got a platform or whatever, and then you get the quotes, and you're rocking and rolling.
so so that's our next move. We're getting close to finalizing that for us. That's going to put us in a certain FSC code, and then we have another 9 relationships that we want to create with OEMs. So we'll be at PD Expo in Miami.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll see y'all out there. I heard that you all out there in the past.
Oh, we're
Parspace
out.
Expo.
We're out there. I spoke at the conference a couple of times. I got nothing. I got no bad blood with Part Space. I got no beef with them. But they didn't want anything to do with me a couple of years ago, and then things started to grow, and then they came back, and then I was like, listen, I think we're just not a fit anymore. I love them. We still do business with them, but I
Yeah.
personally was just like, I'm gonna hold off on the conference. We're doing our own. We're actually doing a mastermind that weekend, and we're having a couple companies come down to the office. So yeah, maybe
Okay.
we'll see you guys around. Still love Part
Oh,
Space, but
yeah.
they went their way, we're going our way.
And then, the Air, Sea, and Space Conference in DC will be there since
Mm-hmm.
we're right there, it's local to us. So we're going to go there. Our whole idea is some of the DLA get-togethers. Our goal is like, hey, the more relationships we can create with OEMs,
Mm-hmm.
where we're not going through distributors and suppliers and we're going directly to the OEM, gives us a lot of more opportunity to be more competitive in that space. And especially OEMs that doesn't bid directly, right? That's the
That's the
ones,
key. Yeah.
right? And so that's what we're targeting. And so our target over the next 90 days is to try to get about 9 to 10 of them, right? And if we can get those in the right FSC codes, then it makes us to be able to churn quotes a lot easier, where we can just go and look for ourselves, or we can have someone dedicated to providing us with good quotes and pricing.
That's the way. That is
Yeah.
the way. So, if there is somebody similar to what we talked about prior to us recording who maybe is in a similar situation to you and they're thinking of doing business with DLA, what advice would you give them if they're on the fence? If somebody's on the fence and they're thinking about doing business with DLA, what do you say to somebody?
I would say go get it. I would say stop waiting. I would say that there's a lot of opportunity in this space. If you hear around the country, one of the things that you always hear is there's an issue with our supply chain. That's
Mm-hmm.
DLA, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you really
Mm-hmm.
think of it, right? It's a supply chain to our folks that are doing the work, our war fighters and other folks that are doing work out there for the federal government and even other governments, right?
For
Um,
FMS, that foreign military sales, we support other countries.
Correct. So and so I would say, just start now. Just start taking the steps towards it. You don't want to wake up a year now still thinking about it. I would always say, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're not, you're not. But just make a
Hmm.
decision on what you're going to do, and then walk that walk. And whenever you walk that walk, whatever that may be, if it's DLA, put together a 3-month plan, right? What do you need to do to get there? And that's even if you're starting out just registering dibs or registering SAMs first. Just put that together so that you know what your steps, so that you don't feel like the process that takes long is taking too long,
A hundred
because you already
percent.
know what you can expect around timelines. And then just continue to set those small milestones so that you can move forward. And that's what we did, small milestones. And then we just kept moving forward and moving forward. And now we're on our third set of milestones, right? We accomplished the other two, and now we're on our third set. And then once we finish these, there'll be other milestones that we're going to go after and just keep resetting it. But don't be afraid to just get started. And, if you're scared, go to church.
If you scared, go to church. If you scared, go to church. Get on your knees, go see Jesus. If you don't believe, what I'm saying, if you don't believe what Jason is saying, pray about it. Pray about it. Ask God if you should go pursue prosperity. If God tells you something else, then that's fine. I can live with that. But
Yeah.
if God tells you that you need to go chase the blessings that He's got in store for you by walking through the door, and you choose not to walk through the door, I can't help you.
But I would say this too, Day. In your videos, when we first looked at your videos and heard all your testimonies, we was like, and this is crazy for us to say, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Man, if they can do it, right, we can do
100%.
it.
There's nothing crazy about that. There's nothing crazy about that at all. There is nothing crazy about that. Somebody watching this, if you're sitting behind your computer or watching this on your phone on your lunch break and you're at a job and you're just like, damn, if they could do it, why can I not do it?
Yeah,
Please, by all means, come beat us. Come
yeah,
take our lunch, please. The more of you guys that decide, yo, I'm gonna take this up and I'm gonna pursue this challenge, the better. And one of the things that I want to say that has contributed to, I think, the way that we have done business as a company with other companies as they're getting ready to join the DLA spaces, the pie is so big.
yeah.
Even if I wanted to gatekeep it, I couldn't. Like,
Correct.
there's just so much money to be made. Like, there's enough for everybody to eat. I couldn't gatekeep it even if I wanted to. So don't let the fact that Jason is about to win 10 contracts in his first 3 weeks of doing business with DLA deter you from thinking like, oh, Jason's taking all the contracts or Two Line's taking all the contracts. They're issuing thousands a week. Like,
Correct.
there's enough out here for everybody. So it's like, if we could do it, come beat me. Come beat me. Come take my lunch, please. So,
But two, what's solidified us on you? You actually give your cage code, and some people don't really understand the importance of that. you could pretty much check your homework, right, with the cage
You can
code.
legit, you can legit check us. You can legit check us. I
Yeah,
dropped the cage code, and in the last testimonial that I did, which is not out yet. I think it's coming
yeah.
out today. I haven't done this in a while just because I didn't feel the need to prove anything. But I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys. You can look up contracts and check what are the FSC codes that I specifically bid on. You guys can go
Yeah.
see that, and you can go legit check on HireGov or FPDS, or you could just go look on Dibs and see that. So just make sure if you guys are going to get information from anybody, make sure you do your due diligence on them. I'm not going to point any fingers or name any names, but just do your homework before you guys get
Yeah.
any advice from anybody.
Yeah, we made that mistake.
No comment. I'm not here to knock anybody's hustle. But Jason, I always like to say at the end of these that as you guys become more successful, I know that your plate there becomes less space on your plate, right? Because
Correct.
you got people to manage and you got tasks to delegate and you got emails to respond to, phone calls to make, wires to send, purchases to issue, right? So I always like to just say thank you and express our gratitude for you taking the time out of your day to come and just have a chat with us, because I know everything that goes into not only being a business owner, but then managing people and the time and the energy that takes. So we're always grateful for whenever you guys set time aside from your busy schedule to have a chat with us. And yeah, I'm very excited to see where you guys are at in the next 60 days, because I've seen people win singular contracts fast, and I've seen people win like one big contract and then not win again for like a couple months. But I have not seen people win multiple contracts very fast. So I am excited to see if after 3 weeks of doing it, you guys are coming up on 10 contracts. I'm excited to see where you're at after 3 months. And then more importantly, like think about where you guys are going to be in 3 years. So just stay the course, man. Stay the course. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys end up.
No, no, and I appreciate you, right, for being that mentor for us. And we're older, right? Had huge careers, right? I was like, they is almost as Jalen and you are almost the same age, right? And I'm like, man, he got the game, right? So you never never cut yourself off from having a mentor, no matter what, right? Because anyone can tell you anything, right? And so we appreciate you just taking your time out and sharing your story, sharing your process, and sharing your expertise, because you could be selfish in this. The fact that you're sharing this, I don't think people understand. First of all, it's not a lot of people sharing. Second of all, this is like a hidden space. So he's uncovering something for everybody, right? That if you really understood the magnitude, it'd be an easy decision to jump in. So I appreciate you for making our lives a lot easier and help being that guy for us.
Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, again, I just don't see the value in being selfish. I don't see the value in keeping it for myself, because it really does a disservice to one, the warfighter, like the actual people that we support, if there's just not enough people out there to, be competitive and give them honest pricing on things. And then number two, just like ethically, if you're a God-fearing man, it's just the same way that Jesus does on it says Moses wrote it on the tablet, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Like I tell this story all the time. We lost 50 grand. We paid somebody to teach us and we lost 50 grand. After 2 weeks, we didn't hear from the guy again. And I remember seeing how sick my parents were. And then we started in the midst of COVID, when it's not like everybody was just printing money and we just had money to throw around. I
Yeah,
remember seeing how sick my parents were. And I remember going into the office every day and just being like, dang, we really got fleeced. Now
yeah,
we're in the same position that we were 2 weeks ago before we paid 50 grand. We're just out 50 grand. And I was like, I don't want anybody to have to deal with that. So
yeah.
if we could shorten somebody's time horizon for significantly less money, then like by all means, we're going to 100% do that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So thank you for choosing us, because there's a million and one other ways that you could go about getting your information. So it's not something that we take lightly. It's a responsibility, and it's something that we hold very dear to our heart and we take very seriously. So Thank you again, man. Really appreciate you, bro. Stay blessed, and I'm excited to see everything that you guys accomplish and I don't even want to say like the coming years or the coming months. I'm just gonna hit you. We're gonna talk in like 2 weeks, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
something different.
absolutely, absolutely. So appreciate you.